Welcome back to today's news recap. We've got an eventful lineup covering major global developments from labor strikes that disrupted U.S. ports to escalating tensions in the Middle East and significant policy changes. Let's dive into the top stories. Maritime strike ends with tentative wage deal. The International Longshoremen's Association, ILA, and the U.S. Maritime Alliance have reached a tentative agreement on wages, effectively ending the strike that paralyzed East Coast and Gulf Coast ports. Around 50,000 union members were involved in the strike, which affected 14 ports, disrupting billions of dollars worth of goods and straining the U.S. supply chain. In a joint statement, both sides announced the extension of the master contract until January 15, 2025, allowing more time to negotiate other unresolved issues. The ILA had initially demanded a $5 per hour wage increase over 6 years, and the tentative agreement includes a 61.5% wage hike. However, other key issues like automation remain hotly contested. The union remains firmly opposed to automation, calling it a sticking point in the ongoing talks. Negotiations on these critical points will resume when both sides return to the table in January. Biden confirms discussions on Israeli strikes on Iran's oil. President Joe Biden has confirmed that the U.S. is in discussions with Israel regarding potential strikes on Iran's oil infrastructure. This comes in the wake of Iran's missile attacks on Israel, which were carried out in retaliation for the assassination of several high-ranking leaders from Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. While Biden acknowledged the talks, he stopped short of offering full endorsement, cautioning that any Israeli response should be proportional. He reiterated the U.S. stance against Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, emphasizing that such actions could further escalate the conflict. Meanwhile, Israel is reportedly planning to target Iran's oil facilities first, with the possibility of hitting nuclear sites if Iran retaliates. This has caused oil prices to surge, reflecting fears of disruptions in global energy markets, particularly through the critical Strait of Hormuz. California bans local voter ID laws. In a significant move, California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed into law a bill that prohibits local governments from implementing voter ID requirements. The law follows a controversy sparked by Huntington Beach, a Republican-led city that had passed a voter ID mandate, which led to a lawsuit from the state. The state argued that the local policy violated California's voting rights protections. The legislation, authored by State Senator Dave Min, ensures uniform voting laws across California, preventing cities from adopting their own voting rules. It officially goes into effect on January 1, 2025, positioning California among 14 states that do not require voter identification. Huntington Beach's city council defended its policy, claiming it had the legal authority to manage local elections, but the new state law overrides such local mandates. Trump prosecutors present evidence of criminal means to overturn election. New details have emerged in the case against Donald Trump, with prosecutors alleging that the former president used multiple criminal means in his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. A court filing released Wednesday outlines how Trump privately pressured Vice President Mike Pence and Republican-led state officials to alter election outcomes. Prosecutors argue that Trump acted in a personal capacity, rather than as the sitting president during key moments, such as his infamous phone call to Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, where he requested the finding of over 11,000 votes. Additional evidence suggests that Trump privately ridiculed claims of voter fraud made by his allies, including attorney Sidney Powell, while publicly promoting them. The Trump campaign has dismissed these claims, asserting that the legal actions against him are politically motivated. Trump himself responded to the unsealing of this evidence on Truth Social, calling it election interference and maintaining that his actions were lawful. UN employee killed in Israeli airstrike. The United Nations has confirmed that Fateh al-Sharif, an employee of the UN Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, was killed in an Israeli airstrike in southern Lebanon. Sharif, who had served as the head of the UNRWA Teachers Union in Lebanon, was on administrative leave while being investigated for his alleged political activities linked to Hamas. Israel's military claims that Sharif was deeply involved in coordinating terrorist activities between Hamas and Hezbollah and accused him of overseeing Hamas's military efforts in Lebanon. The airstrike also resulted in the deaths of Sharif's family, who were inside his home in a refugee camp in Tyre. UNRWA clarified that Sharif had been suspended since March and was under investigation at the time of his death. Melania Trump supports right to choose in upcoming memoir. In a surprising revelation, former First Lady Melania Trump has shared her pro-choice views in her upcoming memoir. Melania writes that she believes a woman's right to liberty includes the authority to terminate her pregnancy and views restrictions on abortion as denying women control over their own bodies. Is that her stance on this issue is a personal one and not tied to public political statements made by the Trump administration. She also acknowledges private disagreements with her husband on the topic, but preferred to address these matters within their relationship rather than publicly. UK transfers Chagos Islands sovereignty to Mauritius. The United Kingdom has agreed to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, while retaining control of the Diego Garcia Air Base. The base is considered a strategic asset for US and UK military operations, particularly during conflicts like those in Iraq and Afghanistan, and will continue to operate under British control for at least 99 more years. Mauritius has long argued for the decolonization of the Chagos Islands, and the deal includes provisions allowing displaced Chagosians to return to some areas, though not to Diego Garcia. The agreement has sparked geopolitical concerns, with critics warning that closer ties between Mauritius and China could increase Beijing's influence in the Indian Ocean. FEMA faces budget shortfall amid Hurricane Helene recovery. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas revealed that FEMA is facing a budget shortfall as it grapples with recovery efforts following Hurricane Helene, which claimed over 160 lives. The agency is struggling with a $2 billion deficit in its disaster relief fund, and officials have expressed concerns that FEMA's ability to respond to future disasters may be compromised. The shortfall has drawn criticism from Republicans, who argue that the agency is spending too much on humanitarian services for non-U.S. citizens, citing over $1 billion spent on these programs in recent years. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and former President Donald Trump have called for FEMA to stop spending on immigration resettlement and focus instead on disaster recovery for U.S. citizens. That wraps up today's news recap. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on important global events. Stay informed, and we'll see you next time.